Reading with Teacher Paul, Reading Comprehension B2, Lesson 14, The Silk Road, a Network of Trade and Culture. Let's begin.
The Silk Road was one of the most important trade routes in world history, connecting the East and West for over 1,500 years. It wasn't a single road, but rather a vast network of trade routes that extended across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. Goods, ideas, cultures, and even diseases moved along these routes, shaping the development of civilizations. The Silk Road got its name from the lucrative silk trade that flourished between China and other regions, but many other goods were traded as well. Let's explore the history, significance, and impact of the Silk Road on world history. Origins of the Silk Road. The Silk Road began around the 2nd century BCE, during the Han Dynasty of China, and remained active until the 15th century. The Chinese Emperor Wu Di, 141–87 BCE, is credited with expanding China's reach westward to establish trade connections with the Parthian Empire and beyond. At first, the Silk Road was primarily a means for China to export silk, which was highly prized in the West for its softness, strength, and beauty. Silk quickly became a symbol of wealth and luxury, especially in the Roman Empire, where it was used for clothing, wall hangings, and even currency. The route stretched from Chang'an, modern-day Xi'an in China, through Central Asia, and reached as far as the Mediterranean. While trade was initially conducted by a few merchants who passed goods from one trader to the next, the routes gradually grew into a complex system where caravans traveled long distances to deliver goods. Goods traded on the Silk Road. Though silk was the most famous product traded, it was far from the only one. The Silk Road was a two-way street for a variety of goods. 1. From east to west, silk, the most valuable export from China, used by wealthy elites in Rome, Persia, and beyond. Porcelain, another prized Chinese product, admired for its beauty and delicacy. Tea, grown in China, tea became an important export to regions like Central Asia and the Middle East. Spices like cinnamon, cloves, and pepper were highly valued for flavoring food and for medicinal purposes. Paper, Chinese paper-making techniques spread along the Silk Road, revolutionizing communication and record-keeping. Two. From west to east, horses. Central Asian horses were highly prized by the Chinese for their strength and speed, particularly for military use. Glassware, the Romans were skilled at glassmaking, and their glass products were highly sought after in China. Wool, gold, and silver, precious metals and woolen textiles were traded from the Roman Empire and other Western regions. Ivory, obtained from Africa and India, ivory was a luxury item used for carving ornaments and religious objects. Besides goods, the Silk Road also became a conduit for ideas and innovations. For example, Buddhism spread from India to China and the rest of East Asia, becoming one of the major religions along the route. Islamic culture, science, and technology also moved eastward, influencing Chinese and Central Asian cultures. Cultural exchange and the spread of ideas. The Silk Road wasn't just about trading goods, it was also a critical channel for cultural exchange. As traders, diplomats, and travelers moved along the Silk Road, they carried with them ideas, art, religion, and knowledge. This exchange helped shape the development of some of the world's greatest civilizations. 1. Buddhism. One of the most significant ideas carried along the Silk Road was the spread of Buddhism. Buddhist monks traveled from India to China and beyond, establishing monasteries and spreading Buddhist teachings. By the 4th century CE, Buddhism had become a major religion in China, Korea, and Japan. 2. Islam. Islam spread eastward from the Middle East, particularly after the rise of the Abbasid Caliphate in the 8th century. Muslim traders played a crucial role in Silk Road trade, bringing not only goods, but also Islamic culture, science, and architecture to Central Asia and China. 3. Art and architecture. The Silk Road facilitated the exchange of artistic styles between East and West. For example, Chinese and Persian art began to influence each other, particularly in the design of textiles, pottery, and religious art. The influence of Central Asian styles can be seen in the architecture of Buddhist temples in China. 4. Technology. Many technological innovations spread along the Silk Road, including papermaking and gunpowder from China. In return, China imported knowledge of astronomy, medicine, and mathematics from the Islamic world. Challenges and dangers of the Silk Road. Traveling along the Silk Road was not easy. Merchants and caravans faced numerous challenges, including harsh climates, difficult terrain, and bandit attacks. The routes passed through vast deserts like the Taklamakan Desert and treacherous mountain ranges like the Pamir Mountains. Caravans often consisted of camels or horses, which were better suited for long journeys through these environments. Additionally, political instability and wars between different empires and kingdoms along the Silk Road posed constant threats to trade. Various empires, including the Byzantines, Sassanids, Mongols, and Ottomans, controlled sections of the Silk Road at different times. The security of these regions greatly influenced the flow of goods and ideas. However, there were periods of relative peace, such as during the Pax Mongolica, 13th to 14th centuries, when the Mongol Empire controlled much of the Silk Road. Under Mongol rule, trade flourished as the Mongols established laws and protections for merchants, promoting the movement of goods, people, and ideas across their vast empire. The decline of the Silk Road. By the late 15th century, the Silk Road began to decline for several reasons. 1. Sea routes. The rise of maritime trade routes provided a faster and more efficient way to transport goods between Asia and Europe. European explorers, such as Vasco da Gama and Christopher Columbus, opened up new sea routes that bypassed the land-based Silk Road. These routes allowed for the shipment of larger quantities of goods and reduced the costs and dangers associated with overland travel. 2. Political instability. The fall of the Mongol Empire and the rise of the Ottoman Empire led to increased conflict and instability along the Silk Road. The Ottomans, who controlled key sections of the route, imposed heavy taxes on traders, making it less profitable to transport goods overland. 3. Changes in demand. As European countries began to establish their own trade networks with Asia, the demand for Silk Road goods decreased. European merchants could now buy silk, spices, and other luxury items directly from Asia through sea routes, cutting out the need for middlemen along the Silk Road. By the early 16th century, the Silk Road had largely fallen out of use, though its legacy lived on through the connections and exchanges it had fostered. Legacy of the Silk Road. The Silk Road had a profound impact on the development of civilizations across Eurasia. It facilitated not only the exchange of goods but also the exchange of ideas, technologies, and cultures, contributing to the advancement of science, religion, art, and society. 1. Cultural blending. The interactions between different cultures along the Silk Road helped to create a more interconnected world. The blending of Greek, Roman, Persian, Chinese, and Indian ideas and art forms is evident in the cultural achievements of many ancient cities that sat along the Silk Road, such as Samarkand and Bokhara. 2. Globalization. The Silk Road can be seen as an early form of globalization, as it connected distant regions of the world through trade. The flow of goods and ideas between the East and West helped shape the course of history, laying the foundation for the globalized economy we know today. 3. Modern revivals. In recent years, there has been a renewed interest in the Silk Road. China has launched the Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, a modern infrastructure project aimed at reviving and expanding trade routes across Asia, Europe, and Africa, similar to the ancient Silk Road. This project seeks to enhance connectivity and foster economic cooperation among participating countries. Conclusion. The Silk Road was more than just a trade route, it was a bridge between civilizations. Through the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures, the Silk Road helped to shape the history and development of the ancient world. Its legacy of cultural and economic exchange continues to influence global interactions today, reminding us of the importance of interconnectedness in human history.
Thanks for watching. Visit www.TutorUKABC.com for more fun learning material.